He won't be zooming in.
No, not sure if we've heard anything from Susan this morning, but.
I didn't.
All right, it is 9 o'clock this Thursday, September 26th, 2024. I'll call the meeting of the Board of Harbor Commissioners for the town of LaPointe to order. With us this morning, we have Jay Wiltz.
Here.
Michael Collins.
Here.
Evan Erickson. Here. Myself, Zach Montang, Glenn Carlson.
Here.
Absent are Susan Widmer and Pete Ross. Let's go into public comment. Go ahead, John.
At the last meeting I came here, I mentioned that there was a lot of references to McDonald's grocery store on the September 5th meeting. I just wanted to let you guys know the reason why I brought up it looked like you were just going for that is the amount of time. And if you go to the 21-minute mark, there's at least 6 times it's brought up to talk to Lauren, to McDonald's grocery store, coordinate with them, coordinate with that. And it does look like to the public that this is being just for them. And on top of that, I would just like to say, okay, this is Michael, you can pass it around. What that is a blanket that goes over a pallet, it's called a thermal pallet blanket. And maybe it's a better use for bringing stuff over, that there's already trucks available for the ferry line. You put that over there, you call them up and say, you got stuff coming over in 20 minutes. It's your problem, not deal with it. Just like anybody does for me or any other contractor. John, you got material coming over, be on the dock in 20 minutes. Rather than spending $30-some thousand on a refrigeration truck that they're gonna be using 3 months out of the year.
Thanks, John. Oh, here's Susan. Any other public comment? Do we have the minutes? Did you get them?
I did not. Sorry.
Okay, so we'll skip past the minutes of the 9/19 meeting.
Can you maybe make a motion to table?
I will move that we table the minutes of the 9/19/24 meeting. If no discussion, call the vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Move on to committee updates. Nothing from me.
Yeah, this might be a good place for me to mention some updates on the school contract,
Okay.
which have been in the form of communications. So found out yesterday from Robin that Stephen Burrs does not feel like we can have an indemnification as a condition for the kids to ride. The Admiralty law doesn't allow for that, and it would be unenforceable. So that's one issue. So that potential solution is not a potential solution. In addition, even though I thought that the school district had agreed to the idea of the chaperone being the last to board, that turns out to not have been discussed with the chaperone. And so now there's a whole little discussion, and it might be necessary for there to be a meeting with Randy and the chaperone and someone from the Harbor Commission to work that out. The third thing is there was a question about a student, a Bayfield high school student who lives on the mainland, but spent the night on the island, a school night on the island, and then was charged, or their host was charged for that boat ride. And so I checked with Randy, and in fact, they only pay for island students to take the boat. They don't pay for anyone else. And I know it seems strange that you know, here we are, we've got, you know, people that want to spend time on the island but they can't. And so, you know, the Harbor Commission doesn't pay for our students to take the boat over in the morning or back. You know, that's the school district that pays that. And
Right.
so I would think that if anyone has an objection to that, it should go to the school district to resolve, because they're pretty clear about that. And that's all I've got.
I thought that like prior to even any review of the school contract, that we had made a motion granting ridership to all Bayfield students with no time frame.
I recall that too.
I'd have to go back in the minutes and recall that discussion.
Okay,
And I know as the contract was developed, there was the timeline put in there, you know, between 9 and 2:30 or whatever it is.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think that was
school day.
the intent, was during the school day,
Yeah.
and not necessarily. But, you know, certainly the Harbor Commission could make it free, I mean, if we wanted to. But we're not making it, you know, we'd be picking that up, as opposed to we're not picking up the cost of our students going over.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would be a little,
I
I think it might be difficult to
Kinda like-
explain to people. Yeah,
I think I got a call from not the parent of the student, but the island parent last night. And I was gonna wait until next meeting potentially to bring it up, but I think that we need to sit down and write a policy that covers some of these potential loopholes.
The way I look at this is I would hate to limit island students from the activities that any other student gets to have, as having a friend over at their house for the night, or, you know, maybe it's for fun, maybe it's a study group thing, or whatever, but I don't see the issue of us picking up the tab of that once, if, as long as it's, you know, and there could be a policy in place, of course. As long as it doesn't become a problem and all of a sudden we're getting tons of the Bayfield kids coming over here all the time. If it's just an every once in a while deal, I don't see why, you know, we gotta make the parents pay for that or make the kid pay for that. I would just, you know, it's part of being a child, is having your friends stay the night over.
but we can certainly put that on a future agenda.
Good,
Yep.
good.
And I just wanted to report on those communications.
Thank you, Glenn. But no one has anything else under updates. We'll go and move on to Katie's report.
The balances of the Harbor Commission bank accounts, this is as of Tuesday, the 26th, are as follows. Our September revenue as of the 26th was just under 537,000, which is only just over 73% of the budget. So it is a little low, but we do have another weekend of one last weekend of September. And that also doesn't include any of like the parcel hauling and mail contracts.
Mhm.
Did
That's
the,
not included in the revenue?
Yep, it's not included.
Okay.
Yeah, that number does not include, we want that payment, so.
So it's parcels
Here.
plus another weekend could change this number.
I'm sure it's significant.
I would think so.
And then we did have our first budget committee meeting on Monday. Working on the 2025 budget. I have been working on getting the lists that we created together this week. It sounds like we'll be meeting again next week. I did talk with Robin about the packages over 75 pounds. She said basically if they are getting a package like that, they're contacting the customer. They obviously want to encourage not ordering anything over 75 pounds so that they don't have to figure out a different form of picking it up. I did ask her to post that somewhere, and they do have it now posted in the freight building. There are no updates on the insurances as of yet. Robin's still waiting to hear back from West Bend. And then she did receive that first draft of the indemnification from Steve Beers, which I guess led to Glenn's update on that. And that is all I have.
I have, on the insurance received, by the town from the, working group,
Mhm.
but they do cover the buildings and also some of the motor vehicles, right?
Mhm.
The ferry lines, like snow and maintenance vehicle, the vehicles that aren't involved in, marine operations.
Mhm.
And I've received, from them a renewal questionnaire. And so I will get you, and, Lauren also, because we'll need to review the, adequacy of the coverages. And it does, itemize every single building, and every vehicle and town vehicles as well as the ferry. So I'll be, sort of giving you part of it, you part of it, and then we can, and I think and with your other hat, you'll be kind of the insurance
Mhm.
coordinator, so.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to put Chief Administrator Officer Katie Kisner's report on file.
Seconded.
There's no further discussion. I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, consider approval of sale of assets for auction.
I have not gotten anything together. I haven't had a chance to look or do anything with that. I've had my hands full with other town stuff. I don't know if you guys all want pictures and descriptions of everything, or.
This is just for the Harbor Commission stuff, right?
Yeah, but yeah, I just haven't been able to get to any of that.
I think we could still make a motion to approve, and then it would kind of be lumped in with town assets for
Yeah,
the
so
final.
recommend to the town board.
Okay,
The only thing I would recommend based on a conversation Michael Parsons had with me about dropping off the minivan is that we should probably just scrap that. It sounds like it's a safety hazard based on what they were looking at with it, and I don't want to sell it to somebody. And then they get in a car wreck with it, even though the disclaimer on the auction says that we're not liable for anything. It'd still be, I don't think it's moral to let something like that go back on the road. So I think that one will go to Murph, where we'll get the most money for scrap for it. It won't come to the Harbor Commission, but it'll be in the town's account overall.
Good.
well, I'll move that we recommend approving the sale of the refrigerator truck and the minivan.
The red, what is it, 97, 98?
1997, I think.
Yeah, Chevy plow truck and 2 trailers. And to scrap the Dodge Caravan.
I'll second that motion.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Refrigerator truck updates and discussion. Have you had a chance to go and look at the truck?
Yeah, it's reserved, so it's not going anywhere. I called them up and told them everything that I was gonna look at, that I wanted to see when I showed up. And, you know, I'd rather show up and it's all good, and then show up and it's not good, and then I just have to leave. I can sit around waiting to fix something. So I went through a pretty extensive list of everything I'm looking at. And they found, they re-inspected it and found one issue with the exhaust brake on it. So they're fixing the exhaust brake, so I'm just waiting for, to get a final, you know, everything's checked out.
But everything else that you put on that list, they said, yep.
Yep. And we will again go through and re-inspect it, but just minimizing the
Yeah.
waste going down there, it's not perfect.
Looking after the meeting, I had a moment to look back over everything, and the one big concern I have about a truck like this is that it is diesel and it's a modern diesel. The emission systems that are on these modern diesels are designed for them to run and run hard and to create a lot of heat in the exhaust. And the system that we're in, that's not gonna happen. So I'm just gonna voice my concern that we could be, you know, down the line spending $5 to tens of thousands of dollars on emission issues because this truck won't be up to temperature and run. You know, this thing's made to go down the highway all day long. So I'm just gonna voice my concern on that.
What kind of emission issues then?
It's pretty complicated. So after 2007, the EPA required, well, there's always been emission standards
Yeah.
for vehicles of all kinds, but especially diesels. After 2007, EPA required what is called a diesel particulate filter, which catches, the soot out of the exhaust, the black smoke.
Yep.
A diesel engine running at RPM and load does not create much soot. Where it makes soot is low RPM idling, low load. The more soot that goes in the exhaust, the more it clogs up the filter. There is a regen process where either an injector in the number 6 cylinder or the very back of the engine cylinder, or a separate injector in the exhaust system sprays diesel fuel in there, ignites it and cooks the filter. But that is only, I think it's called passive regen. That only works for so long. Eventually, you know, you have to either put a new particulate filter in, which, you know, depending on the manufacturer, they could be $5,000. Or you send it in to essentially be cooked, where they put it in an oven for, I don't know if it's 24 or 48 hours, blowing air through it, essentially cleaned out. And then after that, I think it was after 2012, EPA required an SCR system, which is selective catalytic reduction.
Well,
Which adds, you put DEP fluid in, which sprays into this other catalyst, which breaks down the nitrous oxide.
here's where I was going without taxing
Oh,
that remarkable memory anymore. Is this an issue? Is this emissions issue a deal breaker? Is this something that?
Should it be?
well, I mean, it's eventually, you know, management's call if they want to go this road. I'm just voicing my concern of that the style that these vehicles are run, that, you know, I see issues down the line and we could be dealing with expensive repairs from it. And there's also an EGR system on there that recycles the exhaust gas back in, which, you know, can create issues. The gas motor is nice because it's simple. But I'm just voicing my concern on it.
Well, as an owner of an old diesel engine, and I've never thought about one thing you've just mentioned. So,
My tractor has the regen, and it's a pain in the ass.
is it?
Just last week, the town's new dump truck.
Yeah.
I had to put it in park regen and it took an hour sitting out in the parking lot for
do that.
cooking the exhaust, and that's a truck that, you know, I let it cool down for a couple minutes after driving it, shut it off, you know, whether I'm out of the truck for 5 minutes or all day. And when I'm plowing with it, I'm working it hard. When I'm hauling with it, you know, I'm not abusing it, but I wanna make sure it's working because I don't wanna see the town have an issue with that truck down the line where it wasn't worked enough or it was idling a lot. And we start having issues with that emission system.
Okay, well, thank you for that explanation.
It's a good point.
I guess the real question is it really too good of a deal to pass up? And timing, as I alluded to last meeting, is not the greatest, you know, going into the end of the season. We did approve the purchase. I think it'll benefit all the island businesses.
I have a comment about that just because it's been brought up a couple of times about it benefiting one business. I think that that's kind of myopic and that it benefits all of our residents, visitors, people who are, so I have my safe food handling certification. I've had that since I was about 22. I took it in college. It is really important to maintain temperatures and maintain food safety. You can have a foodborne illness, you can have all kinds of problems, and it is science. It's not, and so we have to do our best, I think, as ferry operators to make sure that food is being handled safely. So it's not for one business.
No, it's not.
All food that comes over, and if you've found a way to get your own food over here safely, that's great. I'm happy for you, but a lot of us are relying on the ferry to transport our perishable goods. So
Yeah, and as a practical matter, as a practical matter, the island's food supply, especially coming into the winter, is gonna be in one particular establishment that sells food. So that from a public policy perspective, it's kind of important, I think, to ensure that that food is safely managed back and forth, regardless of the season.
Yep.
So it's not isolating on one business, but it is isolating on the function. That is gonna be our food supply in ice road season.
And this truck does check a lot of boxes, having
It does.
the electrical backup.
Evan, is there,
Power the compressor.
I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
is there some workaround to this diesel issue? I mean, at the extreme, could we put a snowplow on it and just work it out that way?
I don't know if we would not exactly plow snow with it.
You know what I'm saying?
I think part of the maintenance could be, you know, running it.
Take it for a heat run.
Yes, go to
Yes.
and back.
Exactly.
I mean, if Miffle could use it for doing a supply run, I mean, it is it is a box. I mean, that's great. I just hate to see the thing just be in the Bayfield parking lot, go to the,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
Sure,
cause it'll kill it.
okay.
But if it can be used to go to Ashland to get supplies here and there, you know, that,
Okay.
it just needs to run.
Got it. Thank you.
It's illegal to eliminate those systems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done it, but yeah, there's a reason why my black truck, all that stuff came off at 30,000 miles when the warranty was
What a
up.
coincidence.
It kind of fell off on the road.
Mhm. You're being recorded, you know.
I know. But well, every other diesel truck out there is.
Well, how should we proceed?
I think
we've covered it.
Good?
I still support the purchase. I think
I
it's
do
the
too.
right size box. It's got the lift gate. Timing's unfortunate. The price is pretty good.
And I think we've established the good of the people and, I
Yeah.
know about HACCP and some of that other stuff too.
So with that, if there's no further
Did
discussion.
did you, part of your list, did you have them check out the emission systems? I don't know if there's any way to really, without going to the dealer and having them plug in the computer, but I don't know what information would tell them, but.
Mechanically speaking, it's in perfect condition. So,
Okay.
yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it other than that exhaust brake, but even that, you know,
Did they say what the issue for that was?
they didn't say it, just the exhaust brake wasn't working as intended.
Okay.
I know my tractor will give you like a % of soot buildup on the,
Yeah,
So I don't know if it says-
everything's, well, like the Western Star the town has gives me no indicator except for, it'll give me the little light that
when it
says,
goes into.
when it wants to
Okay,
regen.
Right, that just.
The
You know,
fire trucks
my,
have those too.
my new skid steer, I can go into the diagnostics and it'll give me a percentage of soot. Every piece of equipment and truck is different.
Okay. So,
All right, with
Cal?
that, oh, go ahead.
Is that right?
Yeah, certainly.
I just want to comment two things. So for one, for all of our equipment, we make maintenance plans to accommodate whatever their needs may be
Mhm.
to that extent. You know, to us, it's no different than, finding a way to grease the, the U-joints and stuff. It all gets entered in, we create a plan to mitigate it as best as we can. And then, the second component of that, the utility of it, I do, want to kind of go on and say, I don't see this being used solely for food. I mean, the ability to have a large enclosed box with a lift gate is massive. I mean, what we're gonna be able to do with that, whether being able, we get furniture sets, and I know we're trying to limit our size, but again, things do.
that's
happen.
great news.
Yeah, that's a good
it's-
point.
That's great.
Yeah, there's a ton of utility outside of just food, but again, the priority is the food because of the nature of it, a furniture set can wait an hour, the food cannot, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, now we'll move on to the easement request from Greg Nelson.
It's probably else and go to the town board.
Yeah, it would be a recommendation.
Now, he wants to go up our driveway and cut over, correct?
He wants to come in, no, he just wants to come in right here
Oh,
and go in right there.
Oh, I don't.
So
see an
it's,
issue with
it's
that.
within outside of setbacks, it wouldn't impact future building. It's about 30 feet rather than the 660 odd feet
Oh,
that
I
you'd
see
have to
how the
come in.
drawing's working now.
Yeah. Here's another sketch that shows all the lot
If you
lines
look
on
at
it.
it all the way.
It's like
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, cause I thought he wanted to come up the driveway and then cut over.
No, it's even, I mean, it's still even within the tree line, there's 20 feet of tree line before
Yeah.
it even gets to where the road. The easement would start.
I have no issue with this, and I think we should make the motion to approve the easement to Greg Nelson and send it off to the board.
I'll second that.
I would, say that he should cover the recording costs, Greg.
Yes. Yeah, he should cover all costs of this project of his to do this easement.
And I would still encourage him to further press the Russells, Helga and William Russell, to utilize that vacant area or the substandard lot there, but it really doesn't impact this building.
And as far as this motion is concerned, what we're talking about that isn't predicated on his asking one more time. Right? For access.
I'm not sure I understand. I want to say yes.
Okay, is this motion predicated on the requirement for him to go one more time to ask? If he could get,
Oh, you need to the Russell?
Talks to the Russells again.
I would encourage him to have that discussion before, at least before the construction starts. We could driveway is built, but,
Well, maybe he should make,
and he may have already done that. I haven't,
could talk to him and see if he can ask the Russells one more time. And then present this again with letters written to Gary and Robin.
yeah, I think he started this like right about the time that we closed. And it sounded like they were agreeable to it, and then the property changed hands and it never got finalized.
I maybe have him make a new letter asking for the easement with our name on it, along with outlaying that he would cover all costs for the easement.
That's probably a better.
He's also willing
He
to.
does say at the very last one, in his very last sentence, I would be willing to pay whatever you feel. is
Yeah,
fair."
right.
I would have that as I will pay instead of willing. That's just my recommendation.
Looking at tax information on property,
Uh-huh.
and looking at the mill rate, and it's like, you know, their price is gonna be about mill rate times the square footage of that little easement.
I don't know if we need to charge for the easement property per se, but I would agree that any fees that are incurred in doing the easement or the change in zoning will have to be done by Greg. Support that.
So we had a motion to recommend to the town board
And the second,
that that we recommend to the town board, approval of this easement with the requirement that he covers,
He asked the Russells one last time for easement access through their property.
and covers the recording costs and any other costs associated. And do we,
Rewrite the draft letter.
and rewrite the letter. So I guess then we kind of have to table this.
I think we do, because.
Yeah, a lot of change.
Yeah.
It's if we're asking him to go back to Russell's one more time, that's a box that needs to be checked.
Yeah.
Once he does that, then he writes a letter.
I'm sure he'll be willing to wait a week or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't-
He's been waiting since
Agreed.
December.
All right, I will have the discussion with Greg and we will table this. I make a motion that we table this discussion until a later date.
I'll second that.
Any others, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion of the Middle Road property. I have asked that this be placed on there. Just because it's part of our discussion, our budget discussions. We were questioning whether or not to budget for a building there that would replace the winter housing that's currently leased through the inn. And there may be need for a town administrator. Glenn suggested that we walk that back a little bit and maybe look at demolition as far as costs for next year's budget. But I got to thinking about it and we have some fairly extensive fire training coming up at the end of October. And I wonder if this might not be I haven't talked to the chief or had anyone
That'd
look
be
at it.
perfect.
This might be a perfect candidate for a like actual live burn scenario.
Well, the live burns are tricky. They have to be approved by all types of entities.
Okay.
Include, well, it starts with WITC. They go through and then there has to be an asbestos inspection, make sure there's no asbestos and any kind of hazardous materials have to be kind of stripped out and removed. And then
Would that include the roof? And asphalt shingles?
no, those are okay. Usually.
Now there's,
That's that you have some issues sometimes with the DNR. But it can also, the shingles can be stripped if it becomes an issue. I've seen it done.
Well, maybe we should, well, I don't know.
I mean,
You're both on the fire department.
Yeah, I didn't want to go any further with it until I knew that the board was on the same page with.
Great, either way, it can also
Go
be
anyway.
used for training, so it's all kind of.
And that garage too can be used as training because it's essentially, I mean, I'm surprised it's even standing.
Being able to go in and like knock holes in walls, do all kinds of things is really awesome for training for the fire department.
And we-
Drag guns down the stairs.
All kinds of stuff like that, yeah. Simulated smoke.
Would there be
Can't get fire.
there be an issue? I'm guessing that there's a buried propane tank.
Yeah, so they come and look at all of that. They look at any utilities have to be removed.
There is no propane tank there.
There is not. Oh, okay,
I don't know. I don't think there is.
so it was just electric heat.
And I believe it must have been an electric furnace.
Okay,
Tyler, the other assistant chief is going through this process for another property on the island right now.
Oh, that's right.
He's familiar with everything that needs to be done.
And in terms of demolition costs, it can all be done town in-house. I mean, we got our 120. You got the recycling bins, everything could just be tore down right there, thrown on our bins, and we're not paying contractors for a tear down.
And we can take it off our insurance.
In terms of putting something there, one easy option is just a mobile home of some sort, just a single wide. Couple of years ago, my dad, over in Washburn, and the thought of that, my parents would move to mainland, bought a mobile home, I believe it was it's a 14 by 52 with 2 bedroom. And now it wasn't brought to the island, but, delivered and set, was 95,000 brand new. Another thing that, we looked at recently is a tiny house. I found a guy down in Eau Claire who's a retired carpenter who's building winterable tiny houses and, 1 bedroom, full kitchen, bath, 8 by 32. And that's 38,000 and can be hooked up to sewer, water, and, the nice thing about that is that there's no, you kind of avoid UDC and zoning a little bit. It's just, it can be a temporary
You
option.
can roll it out of there and resell it.
Yeah, it can be a temporary quick option or, whatnot. So there, I think there's many options that we could go about that are affordable and serve the needs of either if there's a new town administrator that's hired and needs a place to live until they establish something, but most importantly, housing for the crew in the wintertime instead of paying rent.
Mhm.
And also during the summertime, I would think that, being able to say that we have, housing available for, a summer deckhand or office person or whatnot,
Or other town employees.
or town is,
I think it's important kind of at this juncture to differentiate between the town use or the ferry use. I think it would be important. I think that there definitely, I'm sure Miffle would have a use for having it for employees. or
Definitely.
Whatever, and if the town is in agreement, I would hope that if the Harbor Commission was going to develop that property and come up with that plan, that would be its intended usage. Versus the other option would be to just recommend that the town use the property however they see fit with their housing committee and whatever, if it's gonna be for a town administrator, for development, for low-income housing or anything else that they're working on. I think if we get involved, then it should be for Miffle use.
It should be our for Harbor Commission Miffle use.
Yes. That would
Have you seen some of those tractor, the trailer, conversions for homes?
Oh, like the
Containers?
storage containers.
Oh, I haven't seen them, but
They're cool
They
yeah,
are doing some amazing things with them.
and cheap.
And we don't have to beat this to death right
No.
now. I mean, if we wanted to move forward with eliminating that building.
it would be nice to do something with that property and
that's gotta come down, right?
yeah,
So that's the first issue on the table, not what's gonna happen to the land.
Right.
So I think we're all, are we not
That's a
feeling
ticket.
comfortable this is gonna be put to really good use in training?
Absolutely.
Cal, do you guys use the Quonset hut at all, or is that empty?
That should be empty, no, we don't use it.
And do you have any use for that, or is it kind of needs to go as well?
I believe the state of it.
It's not.
Yeah,
If you go look at the other side of it, not the street side, it's completely collapsed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean, if you're asking me if we have a use for storage, of course,
yeah, but that's not,
no, yeah.
yeah. So we should just demo any structure that's there.
That garage building included?
I mean, I guess I don't know, I mean, from,
I haven't been in there.
That garage, I'm amazed is standing.
okay.
It's, I mean, I'm afraid to weed whack around it. The bottom board, I mean, the garage is, a couple inches below ground level. So it's fairly rotten. Is there anything in that garage?
Yes,
Okay,
I think Sue and Michael Brennan may have some stuff stored either in the house and or in the garage that they're aware that they need to arrange for that stuff to be moved out. And it is, I think, to some degree, having those structures there, they're really hazardous. I mean,
Yeah.
they're almost like an attractive nuisance.
Definitely.
So I think that if we can find a way to inexpensively get rid of them, and even if it's of some benefit to the fire department to use, I think more to the good.
So the motion sounds like we approve its use for training and demolition done by the town.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we probably need to get the town board again to approve.
Recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
should we make a motion? Or is that so moved?
I'll second.
No discussion. I will call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Good.
Back to our discussion of the Miffle management contract. Once again, we'll go into, thank you, Cal.
Thank you, Cal.
Yeah, Cal, thank you.
Go into closed session under, I will make a motion that we go into closed session under state statute 19851-E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. If the commission goes into closed session, it will reconvene in open session before adjourning. And we'll do a roll call vote for this. Jay Wilson.
aye.
I.
Michael.
Aye.
Evan.
Aye.
I'm an aye.